We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Virtual Coffee Connection. And we do a Tuesday and a Thursday live session. And so we're going to dive right in. Anita's got a couple interesting questions. And so, Anita, what you got for today? If you're talking, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Um, so how, like Mark, in your own life, like with business and personal life and everything, like how have you become so consistent and disciplined with everything, like in almost everything that you do?
Cool. Yeah, good question. I think some of it comes down to my personality. And so each of the different various personalities can be disciplined, but they're inconsistent in various things. And so um, in the white paper library, I wrote a number of years ago, a number of white papers that, like my international speaking coach, Linda Breakoff, she said, Mark, you don't write a book to bestow your wisdom on other people. You write a book to gain deep wisdom on a particular topic. So I've written over 100 white papers, 16 books writing, three more books, and over 100 white papers. And so you'll notice, like, the first one is WIFM, What's in It for Me? It's the concept of selfless selfishness, where how do you be like, it seems like we as human beings are just naturally selfish, some more than others, but we're all selfish. What we do is for ourselves. The concept is, if that's how we're kind of wired and designed, how do we make sure that when we're being selfish that we realize it? So this white paper eliminates, if people internalize it, self-righteousness. And so self-righteousness, ego, all of those things stop learning. And so this is a great white paper. Then in 1-2, consistent and committed. So I think, how do you have consistency? um, you're committed. If we're not committed, if we're not committed, we're not going to be consistent unless we enjoy doing something. And so it seems like this year is the year of growth, and it seems like to grow there often is associated pain. So if we enjoy doing something, like what's the one of our coaching clients, Mary Beth said, asked once, she said, Mark, what would you recommend? Like, I'm not motivated. And I said, well, do you know what the benefit of not being motivated is? And she said, I don't. I said, it gives you the opportunity to exercise your self discipline muscles. So we're consistent by and large on the things that we enjoy doing. Not always, but most of the time. Um, so are we committed to growing? Are we committed to becoming all we were created to be? Um, if if we're truly committed, we're going to be consistent. In discipline, my experience is that the more, like I think inherently, Anita, and others that are listening, I think people at a core level, at a very DNA, at their soul level, they want to be significant. But to be significant, we have to do significant things, not talk significant. We have to do. And to do that, we need to be, one is humble, not self-righteous, not ego. Get rid of that. That's 1-1. And then consistent and committed. We need to be consistent and committed to the most important things. And then we need to drive things forward, and we need to be disciplined. And then we need to have clear communication. And then self vaporization, success through vaporization, is being harder on ourselves and other people. So if we find ourselves being defensive about things, the reason that we find ourselves defensive is because we have not addressed those things in our life. So if somebody says to us, Mark, you're full of ego. What's my response? Is it to defend myself and say, well, that's interesting. I'm glad you met me now rather than 10 years ago. Otherwise, it might have been far worse. Like, I'm curious, like, why do you say that? Like when somebody attacks us, when somebody makes an observation about us, um, are we curious about that? Are we seeking to find some amount of truth in it, whatever truth there is in it? And then 1-6 is the book, How to Be the Best Student in Everything. And so I think that's part of it. I think that my life vision that was given to me at 8, touching every single person in the world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. So that's 8+ billion people. When we have a significant vision, I think that we're going to have to be, consistent, consistent and driven and disciplined, all of those things. I think, I don't know, probably 12, 13, I realized, I am really average, normal, but I wanted to be exceptional. And so I can choose to be exceptional. Like, I think we're all born to be exceptional. I think the people who make choices to do exceptional things become exceptional. People who don't, they're not going to achieve their full potential. I think getting married at a young age, 20 years old, I think that helped a lot. I think having 7 children, I think that helped a lot. Like I've put myself into positions, Anita, like coming out of college and having 6 job offers, and taking the one I wanted the least, but I felt I needed the most, going into straight commission sales with a wife who was 3 months pregnant. Rather than taking the easy jobs, the comfortable jobs. So it seems like, Anita, I've often been able to take an easy route, and I choose to take the hard route. And so
Right.
I
So
go ahead. Yeah.
so this is like kind of on the discipline subject. So is it like, are you either disciplined or not disciplined, like a black and white thing, or
Oh,
are there different levels of being
that's
disciplined?
such a great question. I don't think there's much black and white in anything in life, honestly. Fritz, he was a client of ours, Action Vision client of ours in Louisiana. And I said, Fritz, do you think there's different degrees of integrity? And he said, nope, you have integrity or you don't. I said, really? He said, yep. And I said, so if you say you're going to be on time and you're a minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes late, is that a lack of integrity because you're not doing what you said you're going to do? He paused and he said, okay, I think there's different levels of integrity. And so each of the 4 personalities, so the like the driver personality and the analytic, my type of personality, they're going to be looked at by people as being disciplined people. And they're going to be disciplined in doing the task. So doing the task, getting it done, doing the hard things, the driver is going to be disciplined in that. The amiable is going to be disciplined in people, considering, being gentle, nurturing, supportive of people. The expressive is going to be disciplined in having fun and taking risk and being creative. But is that really discipline? Or is it the opposite of what we think it is? Is it me as a driver being patient with people? Like, so I wrote a white paper, Patience, the Silent Killer. And so Tom Coons, he said, I need patience. I said, no, you need a system, Tom, where people around you have less patience. And so he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, if they have less patience, you don't have to be impatient with them. So I think a lot of times impatience, people think of that as something negative. I'm not saying it can't be negative, but I think that that often impatience, I see somebody's potential when they're not achieving their potential, that frustrates me. Like it's almost morally wrong. I mean, I think it is morally wrong. It's like if you were built to go ahead and be a steward of 5 talents and you're just, you just bury it, it's morally wrong. Like if we're given gifts and talents and things that we can do and we're not using those, I think that that's really a serious situation. I think there's differing degrees. Like it's a small child, might be disciplined in, being quiet or being focused or picking up for 3 minutes. When they get to, so they're disciplined, that would be discipline. My mom went ahead and said, my oldest brother, he's a CPA, he's a year and a half older than I am. And she said, Mark, it's important. So he did really well in school. Me, I struggled. She says, it's important for you to understand, Mark, if you get a C in a class and you did the best you could, and Vern got an A in a class and he didn't do the best he could do, you've done better than he has. So that was profound to me. Like that was teaching me dimensions. And so I think that the more discipline, like Ralph Miller, one of my friends and mentor, his mom was 97 years old. So he's in his 70s, and his mom was 97, and she was on board of, she was on board different boards of worldwide companies flying all over the world up until she was like 98, 99 years old. And so at 97, she said, Ralph, you know what's wrong with old people? She's 97. He's like, no, Mom, what's wrong with old people? They're lazy. And so, I think it's progressional. Like we have to get more disciplined. We have to get more disciplined as we get older. If we don't, that's not going to go well for us, I think. I think the tendency is to be addicted to lazy. So I don't know if that helped, Anita, answered your question, or maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it does.
Anything
Yeah.
else you got?
Yeah. How do you go from a level 3 or 4 in Baki to a level 6 or a 7? Um, I mean, some of it is self-discipline. So
Right, right. So I think we'll do two things. So Baki is before, after, consistent, exciting, and enlarging. So it's for an event like a podcast or, like a coffee connection or live event. So it's any type of live event. So you want to promote before the event, and then you want to promote after the event. You want consistent promotion, and then you want exciting. You want it to be energizing, exciting, and then you want it to be enlarging with the intention of enlarging the group. It's also in the 530 grid. It's very similar, slightly different, but it's similar to the golden triangle. So you have to identify targets. That's box one, and then develop and deliver a message. That's box two. Box three is track 100% of the leads and all your data. Box four is ask key questions. Box five is going to be implement strategic strike. These are consistent touches with people. And then box six is going to be group people and messages together. That gives you leverage and power and force. That's the golden triangle, the cornerstone of the 530 grid, which is similar to Baki. So if you use the 530 grid and the golden triangle, the 6 cornerstone boxes with the Baki, you're going to be much more successful. Now, I'm glad that you had let me know about that these questions. I could give it a little thought. That was helpful, so I appreciate it. They're great questions. So my wife and I are writing a book now on how pickleball changed our life forever. So. And it's a fascinating book that somebody's got a sense of humor, because it says, what are the benefits? Improve your pickleball game. What does that have to do with business? Actually, a lot. And so gain confidence, have more fun, learn deep life lessons. And then the fourth one, I'm not sure like how that one got snuck in, learn why Mark is so strange. But I've got a great sense of humor, so it's fine. so it's interesting here on this. And there's different levels in pickleball. They say the 1 to 1.5, it's the novice or beginner. So it's new players learning basic rules and paddle skills. 2 to 2.5 is the advanced beginner. These are players starting to understand positioning and rallies. And then 3 to 3.5 is the intermediate, and that's consistent serves, reliable strokes, and develop strategies. So if you look at this as it relates to, Backy, it's the same thing. Do you understand the rules of Backy and the golden triangle? So do you understand the basic rules and how you do things? Like how do you set up a group, a database? How do you go ahead and put together a message? Like asking a question and telling a story. So you understand the basic rules and the skills required to do something. And then you start to understand, okay, this is what I'm doing. Consistency. And then 3 and 3.5, the intermediate. So you're consistent in building a database. You're consistent in getting your message out. You're consistent in studying your data. You're consistent in modifying your messaging to be able to do it. And then 4 to 4.5 is advanced, high court awareness, strong strategy, and consistent performance. It's producing results. It's producing results. And so am I producing results? If I'm not producing results, if I'm not winning games, if I'm not creating engagements with the marketing, well, that creates frustration. So something's not right. It's not being a victim and saying, woe is me. Like, okay, I'm hitting the ball. Why are you not winning? Like going through. And then 5 to 5.5 plus is an expert pro. Your mastery of all skills, high level and tournament experience. Like you're able to go ahead and produce results on a consistent basis. So your marketing. So when we look at the different areas, the Backy resides largely in the marketing arena, marketing pre-sales. But when your marketing can produce consistent, high quality leads, that then helps the pre-sales to focus on consistently taking those leads. So the job of marketing is to generate the lead. The job of pre-sales is to take that lead and move it forward, nurture it, get them to know, like, and trust us. Often the analytic and the amiable are good in that. And then the sale is going to be closing the sale. So if you don't have consistent marketing, then pre-sales has got to go out and get leads. If you don't have consistent marketing and pre-sales, then sales have got to go out. It's a different skill set. It's different in what you're doing. Generating a lead is one skill set. Working that lead is another. Sales, closing that sale is yet another skill set. And so I think taking a chapter from a piece from the pickleball world, I think that goes ahead and helps us to understand, okay, what level am I at? And then you can break that down, further into, okay, well, what is basic rules? What are they? And documenting that. So here's the basic rules that we have. So you're part of a number of people that are going through this and learning this. And so you guys have a spreadsheet and say, okay, what are the basic rules and what are the skills that are required? Okay, and then understanding of, okay, how does this whole thing work? Well, if we can't get consistency, so the 3 C's to success in every area of life is consistency, consideration, and competence. So consistency helps us to learn. Consideration helps us to understand the nuances, different dimensions. It helps us to understand our personality, other people's personality, the interaction. How do we go ahead and flow? How do we have empathy and understanding of the people that we're sending the messaging to? And then competence is, how do we get really good at what we're doing? So, we can guarantee to, area 3, the sale, that you'll get 10 or whatever that number is, qualified leads every month, every week coming into you. And then to go ahead and pre-sales, you'll get 30 people that you need to go through and qualify. And, a third of them are going to be qualified leads. The other 2/3, you're going to have to nurture them more. They're not big enough fish yet, but we can nurture them in. And marketing, I can generate, 30 leads, that 10 of those leads are going to be qualified immediately to be able to get us into a position to close them now. The other 20, it might take some time. It might be 3 months or 6 months or a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years before we convert those in. So great question, Anita. Does that help?
Yeah. So another question is like, what happens if I get stuck in a certain level?
Nice. So there's a reason you're getting stuck. Is it because you don't know the basic rules? You think you do, but maybe you don't. And so you can either go
Interesting.
ahead, there's like in the boss system, you have the three elements. You have DNA for people, which is personality masteries. You have DNA for business, the 530 grid, and then you have natural laws that govern over 500 of them that govern everything. So when we have a challenge, an opportunity, a problem, there's 6 ways we can attack that. We can go over the wall, under the wall, to the left, to the right, blow it up, tear it down somehow, some way. We're going to make a breakthrough. Bigger the wall, thicker the wall, the more important it is for us to make the breakthrough. Or do we just give up? Do we just quit? And so the two easiest things is we figure it out ourselves, or we ask for advice. So I've been playing pickleball for now. I'm in my third year. And I'm told I'm somewhere between a 3.5 at times, 3.5 with 4 at times. And so somewhere between those. I've never had a lesson in pickleball until, I don't know, a few weeks back. And so I started getting coaching from a pro. And, it's Courtney Clark, and she's amazing. Like she helps me to see things that are not, it's not natural, it's not intuitive. You wouldn't think about it. Now, I took my game to a certain point just by learning and observing and doing it myself. But to take it to another level, I'm going to be able to do that faster with a coach. So if you get a coach that can help you understand these nuances, these different pieces, like, okay, what is the issue? Is it the database I'm using? It might be. Or is it the messaging that I'm doing? It might be. you know and then so you can either figure it out yourself, or ideally you get a coach, you get somebody else that can help, that's been through that can help you know shorten your learning time so you can learn a lot more in a lot less time. Great question. Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Nice.
I've had the ADHD project. Um, like it seems like I'm getting a bunch of email opens and a decent amount of click throughs and unique clicks, but I don't think that anybody has done the 3 minute, like engaged in the 3 minute survey for that.
Right.
So like
So
there we're stuck.
right, that's really cool. So the way to get unstuck is to get frustrated. But to get frustrated, our natural response when we're frustrated is to work less, care less, and expect less, because that makes us feel better. But when we understand it's one of the natural laws, the three elements to frustration. If you don't work, don't care, and don't have any expectations, you're not frustrated. So it's easy to lower your frustration because all you got to do is work less, care less, and lower expectations. But when we're trained to do the opposite of what we think we ought to do, what we feel like doing, so often our feelings are deceptive. So we need to, when we're frustrated, we need to work harder, we need to care more, and we need to increase our expectations of first myself, then my systems, because I'm going to develop those systems. So first myself, then the systems, and then other people that I'm working around. So if we go to clarity.dna4success.com, so clarity.dna4success.com, and there's a 3 minute survey here. And so in this 3 minute survey, this goes ahead and does a personality assessment. And so if you're getting people to land on this page, but they're not taking the personality assessment, is probably something either in your email marketing. It's either in your email marketing message and or what they see over here. So you'd look at what's the question and what's the story. So you could go ahead and take that, and you could go ahead and put like the new song that Life Masteries is working on develop on Anthony's Way. So that tells the story.
I like the
So what?
song.
Yeah. So you can lead a horse to water, but can't make him drink, but you can put salt in the oats. And so what story can we tell that goes ahead and draws people in and say, man, I have got to do this. This is really cool. This is really fun. This is something that's going to help me. Make sense?
Yep, makes sense.
Anything else you
Ever.
got?
Nope.
All right. So if you have any questions on anything we covered, if you haven't done the 3 minute survey, you'll want to do that. And again, you can just click on the button around here, or you can go to DNA dot or clarity.dna4success.com and then go to 3 minute survey and then fill that out. And then that's through Life Masteries Institute. And then somebody will refer, just say who you're referred by. If you're referred by a specific individual, put that individual. If not, just put Coffee Connection and then just put Tuesday for the code. And then somebody from Life Masteries can give you a call and will give you input on your personality, which is really cool and fun. And then what's the biggest challenge and or what would you love help on? Being able to answer those or go through those based on your personality. So it's a lot of fun in what you're doing. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.